The 2000 watt monoblock models for a lot of companies are their most popular models. In this case, CT Sound's CT-2000.1D is their most popular, so they sent one over so we could take a closer look. First off, the manual. This is probably the best owner's manual I've ever seen come with an amplifier. It's got all the goodies inside. Of course, you get stickers for your car. You get a thank you card. It gives a link back to their website. You can leave a review. Also another sticker. I would be cautious about putting these on your car because that just tells people, hey, well, you got some good equipment in your car. Mounting screws, of course. And then we have the remote base cable. This does use the telephone style RJ11 connector. Also the base remote. This one just has a power LED. Again, the telephone style connection. It is lightweight plastic and kind of cheesy, but I guess the amp does come with a base remote, so there's that. Next up, we'll take the amplifier out of the package so you can take a closer look. Kind of a classic design amplifier here with a black aluminum heatsink and the CT Sounds logo there in the center. Overall, just kind of sleek, basic design. Here are all the goodies that come with the amplifier. And again, check that owner's manual. It has some great layman's explanations of how amplifiers work, crossover settings, gain settings, etc. Very good information in the owner's manual. Let's check out the amp here. On one end, we have the Power Protect LED, as well as the remote connection for the bass knob, RCA inputs and outputs using standard RCA jacks. We also have gain control, low pass filter, variable subsonic from 0 to 50 Hertz, frequency and boost for bass boost. We love to see the frequency adjustment there as well. That way you can set it to whatever frequency you need to boost, and you can boost it.
Booster. I don't want booster.
On the opposite side of the amp, we do have the connections for the power ground, also for the speaker outputs. For the power and ground, we have 1.0 or 0 gauge inputs. These are oversized, so they will fit your large car audio style wire. We have 8 gauge for remote because everybody needs 8 gauge for remote. Also, we have dual speaker outputs. Even though it's a monoblock, it's nice to have a couple of different speaker outputs there. As far as dimensions, the amp is kind of long because it is a half-bridge Korean-style amp, 19 inches for the length, 5.6 inches for the width, and 2.2 inches on the height. Amplifier is a Class D monoblock. It is strappable. As far as power output, 650 at 4 ohms, 1200 at 2 ohms, 2000 at 1 ohm, and they recommend a 200 amp fuse. Now we'll get the amp all wired up, and we do leave a couple of strands sticking out just so you guys can complain. So let's get it fired up. Always hook up your RCAs last. Most people don't talk about that, but I would recommend that as have been recommended by others. For the amp test, we use the SMD AD1, the amp dyno, the original one. On the left, you'll see the power output in watts. In the middle, the ohm load. On the right, the voltage of the dyno will also have a remote clamp display so that we can calculate the amplifier's efficiency.
Hold on to your butts.
First up, we'll do the 4 ohm test here. It's rated 650 watts at 14.4 volts. As usual, certified test first, 1% distortion. We get 874 at 14.5, so easily meet and exceed that rated power by a couple hundred watts. Uncertified takes us up to the clipping point, and we get a little bit more, 881 at 14.5 volts. Now let's try the dynamic test, which sends a 40 Hertz pulse tone into the amp to kind of simulate musical playback with dynamics. And we're edging up on 1,000, 952, 954 at 14.75. We measured 81% efficient at the certified run at 4 ohms. Next up, we'll try 2 ohms. The amp is rated 1,200 watts, 14.4. Let's try certified, see if we get that 1,200 watts using a 40 Hertz tone. And easily 1,463 watts at 14.19. So we're actually a little bit under there with the voltage. Let's try it up to the clipping point and see what we get. Almost 1,500. 1479 at 14.17. What about dynamically? I bet we're going to push higher than 1,500. Oh, there you go. 1,800 at 14.64. Now we'll check out that efficiency. And we measured 77% at 2 ohms. It's not superb, but it's not bad either. Next up, we'll move on to the 1 ohm test where the amp is rated 2,000 watts at 14.4. Let's see what we get certified. 1% distortion, 40 hertz tone. Here we go. Can we get 2000? Yes. 2081, and check out our voltage. We're 13.73. So we're actually well under the 14.4 and still got 2000 watts. That's nice. I actually was going to redo it, but I decided that, hey, a lot of people are in the mid 13s. So why not show the actual numbers? And there you see we got 2150 up to clipping. Dynamically, we get over 3000, 3166, 14.27. As far as efficiency goes, we measured 70% for the certified test at 1 ohm. That's not the worst I've seen, but it's not the best I've seen either. Now the CT-2000.1s are strappable, so if you get one of these and decide you need more power later, you can just get another one. The amp has very clear instructions about how this works. You don't have to flip any switches or anything. It's automatically done. Hook up the negatives of both amplifiers. Use the positive from amplifier 1, the negative from amplifier 2. Hook it up to your speakers, and there you go. You got them strapped. Now, they only run 2 ohms in the bridge mode because that does put a 1 ohm load per amp. So we're going to do the test here. 2 ohms strapped, rated 4,000 watts at 14.4. Here we go. Certified test first. 4,414 watts. So we're about 10% over the rated power. That's nice. Let's try it uncertified up to the clipping point. And there you go. 4474. 13.37. So we're about a volt under what we could have. So we could definitely have some more power if we gave it a little bit more juice, but we wanted to let it drop a little bit so you guys could see. Over 6,200, almost 6,300 watts dynamically at 2 ohms. The efficiency wasn't horrible. It didn't drop anymore. We actually got 72%. Here I'll show the results, including the 8 ohm test, which I didn't show on camera. We got rated power plus on every different test. Efficiency numbers were okay, not superb, but they weren't horrible either. Then we strapped the amp. Of course, we got the rated power as well, 4414 certified. Burst almost 6,300 watts. Very cool. Next up, we'll flip the amp over, take off some screws so we can check out the amplifier guts to find out what's inside. Let's get to it. And here we have it, the tried and true 2000 watt Korean style Chinese made amplifier. We can see dual transformers, 4700 microfarad, 25 volt for the power supply filtering. Rails, we have 3300 microfarad, 100 volt caps. And here we'll just do a flyover. You can see the internal wiring. You can also see all the transistors there on each side for the power supply as well as the outputs. Again, this is a tried and true design used by several other manufacturers as well. Something similar. But hey, if it ain't broke, why are you going to try to fix it? Now let's talk about the pros and cons of this CT-2000.1D. First up, rated power plus, of course. It does use all Phillips screws. I didn't mention that before. I kind of like that. That way you don't need to borrow Allen's keys. Oversized 1.0 inputs. Dual 8-gauge speaker outputs, which is always nice. Variable subsonic as well as variable bass boost and frequency. Auto strapping capability and the manual. Make sure you read it. It's got a lot of good information in there. Things to be aware of. It is a large size for a 2K amp. That's just an older design. It does have lack of features on the bass remote, and it uses standard RCAs, no Tiffany style here. For full disclosure, CT Sounds did pay for a slot on my channel to show off this amplifier. However, all the thoughts expressed are mine, plus the objective results of the amp dyno test shows this amp performs up to specifications. Thanks as always for watching. Until next time, Big D, I'm out of here. Thanks for sticking around for more tests. We're going to show the certified test at 1 ohm with a little bit more input voltage. We'll see what we get here. 2,308 watts, 14.75. So we did get a little bit more power there with more input voltage. But what about 0.8 ohms? This is not recommended. This is just for fun. Oh, don't try this at home, but let's try certified test 0.8. We get 2,492, almost 2,500 watts at 14.7. Let's reset the dyno here and try it uncertified up to clipping. See what we get. Can we get that 2,500? Oh yeah, easily. 2,631 watts at 14.54. Now let's set it for dynamic. Get ready. Hold on to your hats. What are we going to get? Boom! It keeps counting up. 38, 33, 39, 87. Can we get 4,000? Right at it. 39.92, 14.9.
Damn, shit bump.